Hello and welcome to the LYHL podcast. If you're watching on video, you will see the messy interior of my van. This is my first recording in van life, and I think it's been 3.5 weeks of living in the van. I honestly don't remember when my last recording was. It feels I've had a lot of life happening in my days and weeks, lots of change and transition, and I'm just so glad to be here with you. I had a little inspiration, and I'm just excited to have a little bit of a heart-to-heart. If you are interested in following my more personal journey and where I even talk about van life, you can look for Elle Sequoia Brave on YouTube, Instagram, and I have a newsletter as well. So Elle Sequoia Brave and Becoming Divergent. So on YouTube, it's actually Becoming Divergent. That's what it's on Instagram, and that's the name of the newsletter. Today, I want to talk about just being in each other's lives. So I just got off a writers group that I host, and I am so excited to have been able to host that for the first time in my van, and I'm doing that in nature and on YouTube I'll show the view of what I'm looking at as you look at me. If you are watching the video, you'll see that the lighting is crazy, the interior is a little crazy. And this is a journey of me just living my life, right? And taking next steps and becoming myself. And that's what the Becoming Divergent project is all about. It's all about modeling my process in becoming, even as a middle-aged woman. What does that look like? And that's, middle-aged, divorced, queer, Midwest raised, more recent California living, internationalist, feminist, adventurer, healer, a writer. What does that look like for me in becoming an artist? And so I would love to have you join there here on the LYHL podcast. I tend to keep it a little bit more broad, and we do go personal, but the purpose is not to share my personal journey, whereas on Becoming Divergent, that is the intention and the goal. So would love to have you over there if that strikes your fancy, if you're curious about that. And if you're on your journey of becoming and finding it kind of a lonely place, that would be a wonderful home or a place to visit to feel safe, and would love to have you there. So today I want to talk about community and the power of community. I just got off a call. I host a writers group, and I'm out in nature here, and I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure about how to continue to do these things that are so important to me in this new way of living. Like, how can I get internet, and how can I be close to nature that I feel called to? Like, I want to live an increasingly integrated life, because I think that's how you live your healthiest life, is that you live integrated, and that means not just doing what people have told you to do or what you've felt impressed on you to do, but actually doing what you feel called to do. And a not insignificant, that is to say, a significant part of that, a very important component of that, is community. And my life circumstances right now have just kept me busy. Transition does that and is very tiring and demanding. And in the midst of that, I've still been working on thriving as best I can. That's my theme for this year. But this season has actually required a lot of surviving. And I'm going through this surviving with awareness of thriving. Like, how much can I thrive in this season of survival? And I find myself finding more spaciousness in my days and my weeks in my life now. Now I'm 3.5 weeks into the van, and 3 weeks into a new job, etc., etc. But this is not the Becoming Divergent podcast. This is a LYHL podcast. But I want to talk about community and the seeds that we plant in community. And I was inspired, this writers group that I hosted, the very end of it, just the whole thing of it, just an hour in this call, has left me in a place of inspiration. And so I'm here now reaching out in connection to you to share that love and to share that inspiration. This friend of mine, and we have been in this writers group for 2 years, and we meet every other week. And it's a group that I started, but it's only become what it is because of each of the members showing up. And there were, I think, double the members initially, and so half of those people dropped off because for whatever reason. But when you find that sweet spot, because this was a space of really showing up, this was a space of being vulnerable and being kind to people in their vulnerability, and in particular to encourage one another on our writer's journey and our calling as a writer. And so 2 years in, it's like a group therapy time, and that's not the intention, but that's the healing that happens in healthy community. And I sometimes wish I didn't cry so much during it. Here's this thing that I created and host, and here I am crying. But I'm living integrated there, and I'm showing up as my authentic self, and that involves me not hiding the grief and the pain that I'm experiencing, or when somebody says something that touches me really profoundly. And the very last thing that my friend shared, my natural response, and I didn't filter it, my natural response, and I told her, I said, that is the kindest thing you've ever said to me, and you've said so many kind things. And I said this through tears, many tears, and everything that accompanies tears. And she shared with me how just observing me live my life, and she was sharing a specific example, but she was saying this broader thing of how observing me live my life has helped her live more fully in her life. And she shared this example of, it's her partner's birthday, and the plans that they had tried for on this particular day. They'd done various celebrations throughout the week, and the plans that they did on this particular day, they ended up going to this happy hour, and they ended up sitting at a bar. And this was not plan A. I don't know if it was plan B or C or how far down through the alphabet it was, but it was not the original plan. And she really cares for her partner, and so she felt nervous about this because she didn't know how it was go. There was like a loss of control, a loss of sense of what's going to happen. It was a very much an outlier, an unknown situation. And she shared that I was there with her and that she had this most beautiful experience with, she and her partner, with the bartender, and just this conversation of just allowing what is to happen, and participating in that. And how the bartender shared that there was this very strange alcohol that tastes kind of funny, and he was trying to figure out how to use it, and he felt it needed to be a seasonal thing for the holidays. And what unfolded was they got to make this cocktail together. She is in touch um, with her taste, with her, and so she was able to, and smelling is also important, like aromatics, and she was able to notice notes in things, and they did this volley back and forth of, what do they need to complement that, what do they need to balance, and she's never made a cocktail before, and she left, and the bartender was thanking her for this experience, and meanwhile she's thanking them for the experience because of how beautiful it was, of this unknown to this more wildly interactive, enjoyment, delightful experience than she could have ever imagined. And that is what's potential in life when we don't resist life, when we show up. And this was such an encouragement to me. It would have been an encouragement anytime. And in this season where there's a lot of me living by faith. I talked to a friend yesterday, and she asked me, like, what's giving me hope these days? And that was felt like a very important question and a very hard question at first. And then I was able to actually say things that were pretty deep and profound to me about ways that I am hoping. And hope is something that is something we act on even when we don't feel. And that's why it felt hard, and I was so grateful from that question from her, because I'm not feeling very hopeful, but I'm actually living in a way that's very hopeful. So I'm moving towards things that I really want and desire, that I've always longed for, and that I'm really quite terrified to move towards, because so much of my life has not prepared me to live in this manner. And so for these friends to see me, and both these friends are friends that I've nourished in midlife in the last 2 years, in times of uncertainty and longing and transition, and wow, what fruits I am receiving from these seeds that I planted and watered and nourished, and that are now, I don't know if they're seedlings, I don't know if they're how big they are, but there's gifts that is coming from them. It's not just an output, it's not just a hope, it's actually this receiving that I'm getting. And community is so important to living a healthy life, and there's been quite a few guests we've had on the podcast, and I really think of my conversation with Jonathan Feingold, and how he on the podcast just really was always coming back to community as essential for healthy living. And that really was very impactful for me, and I think is very, in U.S. culture, is really lacking, and we suffer for it. I think it's why we can be such victims to advertising and to social media. We long for this connection and this feeling of belonging, but we haven't been taught how to show up and to be ourselves and how to risk. And the fruit that I've received recently has come from choosing to show up even when and in ways that I don't even see modeled for me. It's like not having people in my vicinity, not people holding my hand along the way. I mean, maybe the hand holding has come from books or videos, things that are much more distant, speeches, talks, even songs. Wow, songs are so powerful. I've got a playlist right now that I have entitled "Heal Girl!" exclamation point. Where, because music is so powerful, and right now music is a minefield if I just listen to what's on the radio or whatever, just a mix what comes on, because there's so many emotions attached in various experiences, and I'm super tender right now. I'm a highly sensitive person anyway, and what I'm navigating right now is wildly intense, so intense that it feels very painful, and I will be doing exploring that topic soon. I hope to do a podcast, and there'll definitely be something in the newsletter about emotional pain, and that's something I've spent a lot of time helping people with, is pain, and bridging. I want to make connections and bridge between what we think of as more physical pain and what we think of as more emotional pain, and how they're not separate and distinct, these distinctions that we've made. So stay tuned for that. We'll put a pin in that. I'd love to hear you reach out if that's something you're interested in, or thoughts that you have about that. But community is so essential. One of these friends my friend that I chatted with yesterday, she is a friend, really like a close friend of about a year, and somebody that I knew from 10, 15 years ago, that I had felt like a synchronicity to, or a connection to. And a large part of that was as her and myself as a creative, because I found a lot of women in particular, but it's not exclusive to women, not really having passions and pursuits, and not not pursuing artistic expression. And we had a connection over photography in particular at that time, and she was making a photography studio, and that's something that I dreamed of having, this artist studio. And I reached out to her like a year ago, out of the blue, kind of cold contact, and then she came up and visited, and a few weeks later she came up for Thanksgiving, and I'm going to go spend time with her at Christmas. And it's all because I reached out. And it's all because of how I reached out. And these are many examples from me, and I say these not to highlight or elevate myself, but just as lessons of my learning. I think our lives are our greatest lesson. Our lives are our greatest creative act, and there's always the opportunity to lean in more to the act of creating your own life. And in some ways, like this summer, my life like blew apart, and I had to react, and I had to adapt, and there were so many things that closed. Romantic partnership, drastically changing, my dog dying, shuttering my business that I'd had for over a decade, leaving my home in Los Angeles after 15 years. And there's so many more things. And these times where just totally different. It's what a major, major reset. And this is giving me the opportunity to lean into what I want and to go fast. And I'm pursuing that as fast as I lovingly can. Does that make sense? As fast as I lovingly can. I'm doing it with intention, but I'm being so kind to myself and pacing and dealing with such intense and strong emotions that are depleting. They're not energizing experiences. Once you get through it, there is a lightening, but there is a need for like a good night's sleep or a nap or a good tree hug or something like that. Um, but what has been different for me in this season versus even a few years ago coming out of my divorce was community. When I separated from my husband in 2022, it was my decision to leave, but I was not in a good place. I didn't have a support network around me, and I had to do so much of that season on my own. I was solitary and I was isolated, and I tried to reach out to the people I could, but I hadn't been planting and nourishing and watering seeds and seedlings. Not completely hadn't, but I didn't have the preceding few years of doing that. I had gone through a big transition that probably started in 2018 of pruning out relationships, friendships that I didn't feel were reciprocal, that I didn't feel nourished by, that I didn't feel like we aligned, and I started to look for and put myself in positions and reach out and ask. Actually, a lot of this is asking. I had to be vulnerable enough to ask for what I wanted, which my life hadn't prepared me to do, to um, ask for an outing with a friend and to learn what I wanted. So I started really practicing in 2022. What do I want? What do I want? And then I overlapped those. I started to look for people that are doing those, and that in the last year you can think of, or I can think of rather, doing open mics, and how that opened a world of connecting to other people, being vulnerable in their art and their songwriting, and them showing up once a week. Or once you get into the community, you find that a lot of people are looking for that connection, and so you go to different open mics. So even if there's a weekly open mic, you're going to find ones that you can go a second or a third night a week, because of what that means to be in community, what it means to be surrounded by people that are also like risking. And what a beautiful, beautiful, God bless open mics. I'm not even a year in, and it's changed my life so much. So if you are finding yourself not relating to this in your life experience, I would just encourage you to evaluate wherever you are. Are you in the place where just the people that are around you are not helping you be your best version of yourself? You have to leave parts of yourself behind. You have to disassociate. You can't be your full self. It's time to start distancing yourself from that. If you've made, sorry, I didn't silence my phone. If you have done that already, but now you find yourself really solitary and isolated, maybe you need to lean into that season of being solitary, and to learn who you are, and to learn what you want, and to see how you relied on people in unhealthy ways that prevented you from showing up for them in loving ways, and prevented you from receiving what people are offering, or kept you from moving towards healthy relationships, but choosing ones that are more unhealthy patterns, and more regressive instead of progressive. So maybe that's where you need to be. And as you move through this journey, then you start planting seeds, and you might find that now, okay, I enjoy the solitary time. I can sit with myself, and I think I'm a pretty rad person. But then you got to learn how to be your rad self around other people. But then you've pulled away, and it takes time to nourish relationships. It takes time to build community. And so you might find yourself in a season of loneliness, and then you have to risk to make that invitation, to say the hello, like my friend with the bartender. she had to risk and try that, and then she did it, and oh my gosh, what amazing results. And who knows, this is like in their neighborhood, so maybe her partner even joked like, oh, this is how they make us a regular, because of that connection, and maybe they will be regulars. Maybe this bartender will become a friend and will always collaborate with my friend about new cocktails. Like, what do you think? Maybe because of this experience, he'll always want her input. And like, how beautiful and amazing and wonderful is that, and delightful for that to be the source of their friendship. Or it's just a one-off experience that nourishes my friend, that says like, oh my gosh, if I just show up in life, I can have these interactions even with strangers. And if you're looking, this is a future project that I want to have. I've shared a couple of these. I'm gathering these stories. And if you haven't signed up for the LYHL newsletter, I'd encourage you to. I think I've shared at least 2 of these stories, and it's called Oh, the People You Meet. And that's just about when you interact with strangers, if you just open yourself up, you make eye contact, you don't look away, maybe you give a little smile, maybe you say hello, and you don't say, how are you, when you don't mean it. You say something that is true and genuine. You say like, I hope you have a beautiful day, or you say, I love your polka dot shirt, or like, your yellow glasses are amazing, or you have a beautiful smile, or are you making any new cocktails these days? And then it leads into a conversation with it. That is what you have to do in that middle season, and you have to continue to show up. And I promise you, even if you don't have regular people in your life, even if you're estranged from your family, even if your family is all passed away, even if you don't have kids, you don't have friends around you, you don't like your colleagues, even if you live in a community neighborhood they don't feel connected to, you can literally start to have these connections when you go to a museum, to the gas station, you see somebody at the park walking their dog, or with this baby. And that's what happened for me. I just started being present with strangers, and that sustained me. That showed me what connection is possible. And my deepest longing has been for companionship, and continues to be, and has been a source of a lot of pain. And there's things for me to, and again, put a pin back in the emotional pain. And I'm learning about these kind of things, and I want to share with you what I'm learning. So I'm not going to go into that today. I might sneeze. But there is a lot of emotional pain that you have to navigate. And I'm excited to see what's on the other side of the emotional pain, and like how to even process things. But again, put a pin on it. And then the next thing that starts to happen is you start risking and using these skills with actually people that you admire, the writers group that I have, these are people that I met at a conference in 2023, September 2023. Had the first writers group in November. Took 2-ish, 6 to 8 weeks, I don't know, to actually meet. And I tend to be somebody that gets inspired and I'm gonna do it, and then because of insecurities in myself, I'll doubt it later and I'll withdraw and I'll choose isolation over connection. And I have been doing so much work to believe that once I did the work of sitting with myself and being quiet and still and seeing the beauty in myself and seeing what emerged, then, like I mentioned earlier, there's this work of now you have to do that with people. So I practiced that with strangers and just saw so many miracles, and continue to see that whenever I'm present. And there's so much of my life that I just go into autopilot and I forget and I don't do it. But when I do it, holy shit, is it amazing, like what emerges. It's so, so beautiful. The connection to the divine that's in everybody, And so I had to practice that radness, that self-love, I had to believe that there is a connection for me, and I had to risk the letdown because it was always safer for me. Like, I could see a need in somebody and show up for them, but I didn't show up for people that I really wanted in my life because of connection. I would show up people because of like need. That's like a sympathy, right? That's not even like fully I mean, maybe it's compassionate. I can unpack that a little bit, but there's a part of it that was unhealthy because I was afraid. Like, I didn't show up for the same people when I respected people, when I thought they were cool, when I thought they were so intelligent and creative and smart. I just really thought people were better than me in how I interacted with them. And this amazing community that I'm having in the season, even though my life is blown apart and emotionally it's so painful, if you look at the objective facts in my life, I'm living the greatest adventure. I'm living so beautifully. So many things are connecting. I work at a place where I work at a place, so my word for the year, and I'm 3 weeks into this job, the theme of this place to work is thrive. What? I didn't even think about that till, after I think was already working there. And then I show up to this place, and my maiden name is Sierra. And I love the Sierras and the mountains and the call for that. I'm currently in the Sierras right now. So even when I got married, I kept that name as my middle name. I wasn't letting go of that. And now, I go by Elle Sequoia Brave as well. And the sequoias, those trees. I'm getting a little bit lost from what I was trying to say. And I hope I can come back to it. Hi, ADD. There's so much in my life that if you look at it on paper is like... Also, I mean, if you're watching on video, you can see like the chaos, and then the fact that I have the light shining on me, and I can't really control for that. In good lighting, I'm very aware that this doesn't look really, good to have like light shining on my face. Like so if you're just listening to audio, I can't control the lighting in here, and as time goes on, I'm very aware of this when I'm in the forest, in the wild, is the passage of time. And the sun makes an arc over the sky, and I'm using natural light to light me right now. And I don't have windows all around. My van doesn't have any windows in it. Shh. And so I've got the door open, and so I can't control for the just light that's like straight coming in and changing as I record this. There's so many things in my life that are just like, wow, that people are envious. You know the word that people say the most about my life right now? And I don't feel this at all. I don't feel this at all. But I'm working to receive it because community is offering it to me and is showing me again and again. And I'm working to believe what people say, and in particular what they say about me, and in particular what they say about me that's positive, that's loving, that's kind, that's affirming, that's encouraging. And that's just a little look at me in the process. So I share all those examples in the beginning, and not because of like a look at me, because I actually very much struggle in the ways that I've been describing. I don't need to say it all over again. So now the steps, now the fruit is that I have, in the last year, at the retreat, I was like, you're cool, you're cool. I invited only people that I wanted to. I didn't invite everybody that I had contact information. I didn't invite everybody that I met. I cast a small net, and then I allowed for people. I kept going, even though there was attrition of half the people over, I don't know, in the first few months. We stuck with our core group, and we are a sisterhood. And the words that my friend said to me going to the bartender, she says the most profound, nice, she is a consummate coach, a consummate nurturer. She is all that's beautiful about sensitive people and knowing people and empathetic and compassionate people and creative people. And I get to have this most intimate, potent time with her where we just each show up. We're each doing the work, and it's so exciting to see her grow and growing for it in her dreams. She's like, ah! And to see it week by week, the growth. Oh yeah, the thing that people are saying about me, I forgot about that, is that I'm inspiring, that my life right now, as I share, as my life rubs up against them, that I'm inspiring them. And holy shit, it feels very uncomfortable to be saying that to you right now. And my friend just now didn't use those. Well, I don't know. I don't think she used those words because she's a writer and she's poetic. And so she just, oh God. But that's what she's saying. She said, I inspired her to show up. And that matters so much more than any of my art. That matters so much more than any of my podcasts or writing or photography or healing a patient. That because our greatest creative act is our life. And the thing that she said was that how I live my life was bringing more beauty into her life by helping her to show up more brave. And that what a wild impact that had on her partner's birthday and for her partner. And God, that is the kindest thing anybody can say to me. If I want anything in my life, it's that how I live my life, it helps people to live their healthiest life. And so I got off that call and I was like, that's a podcast right there. So I think we're nearing the end of today's time, and community is so important. Authentic community is so important, and it's so hard and it's so scary. I think it's the scariest thing you'll ever do in your life is to show up authentically with somebody else. But when you do that, that's the best gift you can give somebody else, is to show up authentically, because it allows them to show up authentically. Because when you show up authentically, the ego is not dominant. The ego has a backseat. I don't even know if it's in the room. Whew! Sorry, I got some tears there, and now I have a little accompanying mucus. Keeping it real, folks. Oh, thanks for being here on the LYHL podcast. I've missed recording these. I haven't known how I'm going to do it, and I'm so stoked to have had this conversation and this time with you. I'd love to hear from you about what this time has meant to you, and how you're risking and showing up in relationships, and where you are on the continuum, and how you're learning. And I'll just plant this seed too for the future. My friend from a year ago, my friendship that I started a year ago, and I have many other friendships that are 1, 2, 2.5, maybe 3 years old. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Ah, the fruits of these things. But my friend that I was chatting with yesterday, that I mentioned earlier, spending last Thanksgiving with her and stuff. I'm going to lose my stream of thought by sharing all this. See, I can't remember what I was going to say. Why did I? Yeah, just today, just this morning, just a couple hours ago. We're still in the morning here, the recording of this. I got to connect with her before the writers group. Beautiful connection after a call yesterday, because technology, text, sharing photos, the beauty that I'm in, etc. She gets to share about her amazing, how she risked and had friends over, or not friends, had classmates over in the hopes of making friends, and invited them into her home and made food for them. And it's so risky, the fear of like nobody's going to show up. It's just going to be one person. It's going to be so awkward. And how they did it. People showed up and they got past the initial awkward phase, and now they got great friends that, are going to do different things together. Talking to her today, to this friend. She shares with me about her desire for communal living. And I was like, what? No, that's da da da. And so we're going to be talking about that over Christmas. So I think this is something that we need, because I think about living your healthiest life a lot. And if I think something's important, I try to live that way. So I want to live in a community. I want to have I'm not talking suburban kind of community. Ugh, gross things built around capitalism. No, but things about mutuality. I want there to be, so everybody's got their own space so they can have the rest and the solitary time to listen and to be and to have, and I want to have like a compound around me, just my own property. I still want that artist suite. I still want that room. I want to have a place for guests. I want to have a place for like tools to build stuff like this van, because I built this van, by the way. And it's hopefully this, how do you go across? Hopefully this weekend I'll get the shelf up behind me and it won't look like that, and it'll be more organized because I'll have etc. etc. And then there'll be a communal space, like for people to get together. There'll be gardens. I think like there should be a big eating area. Oh yeah, so I have my own little compound, my own little space where I can disconnect, and my introverted self, my sensitive self can unwind, because there's a lot of energy required to interact with people, and I'm noticing things. I pick it up, and it impacts me. And so I have my own space to connect and commune with God, and there's so many words for that, like my inner child, my conscience, my intuition, the Holy Spirit, that cosmic divine self. Like there's so many words for it, but connect to that and be nourished by that. And then I get a trust about how I go in the world. But I want other people to be on the property. Oh, and I want trees, but I want other people to be on the property. And this is, my friend was saying, like, hey, before you buy land, and because that's the trajectory of this van life, hashtag, I don't know, follow becoming divergent, is like building towards this, connecting to nature. Just like how the format of all these people that want power and money, what they're offering us is not satisfying. It's not fulfilling. It isolates us. It makes us feel really bad about ourselves, really, really bad about ourselves. It's super dysfunctional. It creates distance between people. So she mentioned, like, hey, before you buy land, let's like talk about community. And I have been thinking about this and talking to people. It's on my list to build up like this reality, this future of communal living, buying property together, or somebody buys it and lets other people rent on it, or however it works, and to live together so that we can have fun, that we can have support, that we can have connection, that it's like so important that it's built into our lives to be easy, to be regular. Yeah, and that is all because of, and that just happened today because of connection. Like this is current real life stuff. May you always see the blessing. Okay, I want to hear from you. Love you. May you always hear the blessing. May you always see the blessing. May you always see the blessing. May you always see the blessing. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the LYHL podcast. I hope to see you at the next one. You can make sure that happens by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. If you're new to the podcast, go ahead and listen to past guests. There's really just a wealth of knowledge there. This is a passion of mine, to help you live your healthiest life, and to do that together in community. Contributions would make this work so much more easy, and you can do that via the link in the show notes or the website through Ko-fi, and the website is www.theellebetrell.com. You can join the newsletter, the LYHL newsletter, via the website and show notes. There's also opportunities if Instagram is your thing. I'm on there on occasion, and you'll look for the LYHL community, and LYHL is LYHL. If you want to see the video of this, if you're not already there, you want to go over to YouTube, and you'll look for the Elle Betrell, and you'll be able to watch videos from there. Merchandise options to help share that positivity, helping others to live their healthiest life, and you can find that via the website or
emailing me at info@theellebetrell.com. Thanks so much, and may you always see the blessing.